Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Guru Dev Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan. Sorry, I spaced out. Let me start over. Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shutarishita Shishmar Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shutarishita Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shutarishita Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai. Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's articles on verses 2 and 3 of Upadeśāmṛta Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Is today anything special? Oh yeah. Jai Shri Kala Krishnadas Ki Jai. Okay, maybe we could read about him at the end. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan. Todiya Shubha Tiruvav Titi Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. And for those who are following it today, Jai Shri Utpanna Akarashi Titi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Just stretching. Dandavat Pranams, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Deepika Gupta, Anadi Krishna Prabhu. And let's see, I didn't open up YouTube or Facebook. Let me just do that right now. Anyhow, if somebody wrote a comment already on Facebook, I'm not going to see it because, sorry about that. But pranams whoever is there watching. For some reason, it doesn't show comments when I open it up late. Anyhow, I see there are 3 devotees there. I don't know who you are, but Dandavat Pranams. Maybe Indira Mataji. And yeah, all right, Haribo. So today we are, we completed reading Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's 6 articles on the things that hamper bhakti, that impede bhakti, that destroy bhakti. Vinashati means destroy, right? And today we are beginning, we are commencing the 6 articles on the things that nourish bhakti. I think it says the 6 virtues of a sadhak or something like that. Yeah, the 6 virtues of a bhakti sadhak. So number 1 is enthusiasm. That's what we're reading about today. So it's not, I think this one's short. I haven't read it yet myself, but the word count, what is the word count? Only 1,761 words, so not very long. All right, let's just start. And then there's something I wanted to talk about, but I'll do that after. All right. So in number 1, enthusiasm. Jai Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Pada Ki Jai. Okay. The third verse of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta describes 6 subjects. Utsāha nishchayat dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shardbhir bhaktir prasiddhyati. Progress in bhakti may be obtained by the following. 1. Utsāha, that means enthusiasm. 2. Nishta, right? No, nishchoy. That means firm faith. Then dharya, that's number 3, is fortitude or patience. And tat karma pravartanat. Performing, that's 4, that's performing the activities of bhakti. Then sanga tyaga, giving up unfavorable association. And sato vritte, that's adopting the behavior and character of pure devotees. It is essential to deliberate on each of these 6 subjects individually. Therefore, we shall first discuss Utsāha, enthusiasm. What is Utsāha? The activities of bhajan become weak in the absence of enthusiasm. This weakness arises from inertness, laziness, and indifference. Inactivity and laziness, which are known as jadya, as inertia, are eradicated upon the appearance of Utsāha. So if you're feeling inactive or lazy, there's any inertia, well, the way to eradicate it is by becoming enthusiastic, Utsāha. It's eradicated upon. The word jadata, inertness, pertains to the state that is the opposite of spiritual nature. How then is it possible to perform bhajan if inertness is given a place in the body or heart? In the absence of effort, apathy arises. This is very relevant to me, like specifically for today. I'll tell you after. But the practice of bhakti yoga should be performed with a consciousness that is free of indifference. Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 verse 23 instructs, Tang vidyad dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgitam sa nishchayena yoktavyo yoga nirvinna cetasa. Know that state of samadhi to be devoid of any contact with the duality of mundane happiness and misery. This yoga should be performed with firm determination and undeviating consciousness. In his commentary on this verse, Śrīla Vijibhūṣan Mahārāja has said, Atmanya yogatva mananam nirvedas tat rahitena cetasa. If a person considers himself unqualified to perform an activity, then he becomes disinterested in that activity. That's interesting, huh? If a person considers himself unqualified to perform an activity, then he becomes disinterested in that activity. Remaining completely free from this kind of disinterest, one should practice bhakti yoga with enthusiasm. So I don't know, the way I'm understanding this is, if one, then we should feel like, it's not that I'm unqualified to chant Harinam. I'm not unqualified. This is my birthright. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm meant to do. This is like, yeah. Otherwise, if we just feel like, oh, I'm not qualified to do this, I'm not qualified, I can't understand scripture, I can't do this, then we'll just become disinterested in it. So we should practice bhakti yoga with enthusiasm. Regarding bhakti yoga, Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20, verses 7 and 8 has mentioned, Nirvananam jnana yogo nyasinam iha karmasu teshvanirvinna chittanam karma yogastu kaminam yadrichaya matkatado jata shadhastu ya puman na nirvinno nati sakto bhakti yogosya siddhida. O Uddhav, those who have become detached from karma and its fruits, and have completely renounced both, are eligible to perform Jnana Yoga. Inversely, persons who are eligible for Karma Yoga, as long as their heart has not yet developed renunciation toward karma and its fruits, and as long as they are desirous of the fruit of action, but do not, persons eligible for Karma Yoga persons are eligible for karma yoga if as long as their heart is not yet developed in renunciation towards karma and its fruits, and as long as they're desirous of the fruit of action but do not lament it. Okay, sorry, I misread that. Those who are neither too detached nor too attached, and who, by the fortune of having performed auspicious acts in previous lives, have developed faith in narrations of my pastimes, are qualified to perform bhakti yoga, through which they can attain perfection. Interesting, huh? So, those who become, I'm just simplifying, those who become detached from karma, and have renounced karma, they are qualified for Jnana Yoga. So they're full of renunciation. But those who are not renounced, they're attached to the desire, like to the fruits of their action, they are eligible for Karma Yoga. But those who are not too detached and not too attached, they are qualified to perform Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Different types of spiritual practices: Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. There are three types of spiritual practice. Oh, and Haribol Gokuleshwari Didi. And Nitai Mukeshji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Haribol. Okay. There are three types of spiritual practitioners in accordance with different states of consciousness. 1. Those who possess a consciousness of indifference, nirvana. 2. Those whose consciousness is devoid of detachment, anirvana. And 3. Those whose consciousness is free from attachments, nirveda. I don't totally understand the difference between number 1 and number 3 here. Those who possess a consciousness of indifference, nirvana, and those whose consciousness is free from attachments. They kind of seem like the same thing to me. Indifference and being free from attachment. Anyhow, let's see. Yoga is also of three types. 1, Jnana Yoga. 2, Karma Yoga. And 3, Bhakti Yoga. I wonder if I just look this up in the dictionary. The Nirved and what is it? Nirvana and Nirbed. Just look it up in the dictionary just to see more definitions. Let me type this up. Nirbin. Oh, oops. Okay, so in the Bengali dictionary, nirvana is translated as grieved, wretched, disgusted, overcome with distress or sorrow, mortified. Huh. And then nirbed. So I think the words here, though, what is it? Disgusted. I think that's a good one. I don't know. Let's see. And then nirbed. Nirbed is repentance, remorse, apathy, callousness, indifference, disgust, dejection, despondence. Okay. They're both pretty similar. Okay. Anyhow. So yoga is of three types: Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Gyan Yoga is beneficial for persons whose consciousness is filled with indifference, nirvinna. That is, those who are unattached to karma and its results. Persons whose consciousness is devoid of detachment, anirvinna, that is, those who possess many desires, are eligible to perform karma yoga. Those who are not yet detached, they are anirvinna, and also those whose consciousness is free from attachment, nirved, become eligible for bhakti yoga when, on the strength of their good fortune, faith arises in their hearts for hearing narrations of Sri Krishna's pastimes. So they're not too extreme in either way. They're not detached, but they're also they're not yet detached, but they are also free from attachment. So it's like, yeah. Okay. The purport is this. But for dry renunciation, what else can reside in the heart of those who have become free from the desire to perform material activities, but have been unable to gain any experience of transcendental activities, which are beyond materiality? But for dry, what else can reside in the heart of those who have become free from? Okay. The topmost attainment of such persons is knowledge of non-dual Brahma. For those who are neither detached from material activities, nor realized in transcendental activities, which are beyond materiality, there is no other way than to perform karma yoga, which purifies the consciousness. Those who have understood the utter insignificance of material activities, having attained realization of spiritual activities, they are indifferent to all kinds of material activities. Still, they accept performing a limited amount of prescribed action meant only to aid in their spiritual awakening, but they remain unattached to those activities. In bhakti, one becomes free from attachment to material sense objects to the extent that one deliberates on and discusses spiritual subject matters. Wow, this is an important sentence. I'll reread it. In bhakti, one becomes free from attachment to material sense objects to the extent that one deliberates on and discusses spiritual subject matters. So you can't just renounce things. You can't become free from attachment. Like, can't just focus on the negative of giving up, giving up, giving up. No, you have to focus on deliberating on the spiritual subject matters. You have to replace the negative with the positive. Freedom from attachment to material sense objects is but a byproduct of bhakti. It happens automatically. It's a byproduct. Don't need to make any endeavor for it separately. The symptoms of bhakti yogis are mentioned in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11:20 verses 11 Canto 11 chapter 20 verses 27 to 28 as follows. Jata shraddho matkathasu nirvinna sarva karmasu veda dukhatmakan kaman parityage pyanishvara tato bhajet tamam prita shraddhalur dridha nishchaya jushamanaschatan kaman dukho darkangscha garhayan. A sadhak who has developed faith in narrations about me and who is disgusted with all kinds of fruitive activity may still be unable to give up material attachment and the desire for such enjoyment. So sadhak has developed faith in narrations of me. He might be disgusted with all kinds of fruitive activities, but still unable to give up material enjoyment and the desire for sense enjoyment. Knowing that such so-called pleasures are actually sources of misery, he should condemn himself while attempting to enjoy them. Thereafter, in due course of time, he may be able to worship me with love, faith, and fixed determination. This is so relevant to me, just like from this morning. Okay, kama, desire, gives rise to karma. Kam gives rise to karma. desire, gives rise to karma. Nirved, disregard of material objects, gives rise to gyan. And Shraddha, faith in Bhagavan, gives rise to bhakti. The conduct of a bhakti yogi. A person in whom faith has arisen is naturally disinterested in the performance of all material activity. He performs prescribed duties, he performs his karma to the extent that they are favorable for his faith in Bhagavan. One cannot perform bhakti sadhana without the body. How can the body be maintained if one renounces ambition and activities that cause sorrow, but are necessary for maintaining one's life? How is it possible to perform sadhana if the body is destroyed? Therefore, people in general should consider such acts, which yield misery, to be meager and contemptible, and tolerate their results without attachment. While performing such fruitive acts for the sake of maintaining their life, they ought to continue to worship me with fixed faith by bhakti yoga. Those who enjoy the fruits of their material activities, worldly sensory pleasures, with great honor are called karma sakta. They are attached to fruit of action. Those who nurture a mood of contempt for the fruits of material activities and engage in such activities with a sense of honor for the propensity to render devotional service to the Lord are called unattached, anasakta. Although detached from worldly activities, they perform the activities of bhakti with great enthusiasm. Haribol, Krishna Maya Didi, and Archana Mataji. Haribol. Okay, the sequence of progression for bhakti sadhaks. The sequence of progression for the practitioner of Bhagavad Bhakti is stated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20, verse 29, verse 30, and verse 35. Proktena bhakti yogena bhajato masakrin mune kama hridaya nashyanti sarve maye hridi stite vidhyate hridaya grantish Chedyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani mai drishte kilatmani nairapeksham parang prahur nishreyasam analpakam tasman nirashisho bhaktir nirapekshasya me bhavet. In this way, I come and sit in the heart of the sadhak who incessantly performs bhajan of me by following bhakti yoga as I have instructed. After I seat myself there, all the material desires in his heart are destroyed, along with his samskars, his past impressions. At that time, the knot in his heart is broken. All of his doubts are cut to pieces, and the desire to perform karma is completely destroyed. Such a state of indifference is the living entity's greatest and topmost auspiciousness. One second, let me just do something. I haven't looked at Facebook, YouTube or Facebook this whole time. Oh, Haribol, Vidilala Sadidi, and Champak Mataji. And I see 7 other devotees are there. Haribol. Okay. So the conclusion is that making any other endeavors to eradicate the disease of lust and the ignorance, the avidya, situated in the heart is pointless. Okay, so making any endeavors to eradicate kam or avidya, which is in the heart, lust or ignorance in the heart, is pointless. By adopting bhakti yoga in the form of cultivating service to Bhagavan, the jiva's ignorance is avidya, the jiva's inauspiciousness, kala, is lust, kama, and the results of karma. So yeah, while cultivating service to Bhagavan, all these things, avidya, kala, kama, and the results of karma, all his doubts and material bondage, all of these are eradicated by the mercy of Bhagavan. But this does not happen through Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga. Shuddha Bhakti therefore arises in the heart when one renounces all types of desires and hopes and becomes totally free from any expectations. They become completely nirapeksha, free from any expectations. Okay, bhakti kriya. So in such a state, you're prepared for anything. Anything can happen to you, and you're ready for it because you don't have any expectations. Okay. Bhajan kriya, devotional practice, is of two types. Nishtita, that's resolute, nishtita, and wavering, anishtita. Anishtita, yeah. It is improper to become discouraged by thinking, we do not possess the capacity to destroy the results of karma. It is necessary for the faith of the sadhak to be invested with enthusiasm from the very beginning of his practice of bhakti. There are two types of bhajana kriya that my Gurudev would always say, like very common, like one of his very common phrases was, don't be hopeless. We should never think that we do not possess the capacity to destroy the results of karma. No, we're so fortunate that we've come in this line and we've been giving the process to destroy all these anarthas, destroy all the karma, everything. So we should never give up hope. We should have enthusiasm from the very beginning. There are two types of bhajana kriya. There's nishtita, resolute, and anishtita, wavering. When nishta arises while performing bhajan with faith, with shraddha, and the association of sadhus, then that bhajan kriya is called nishtita. So, yes. When nishta, that means being resolute, like, being completely fixed and firm and unwavering. While we perform bhajan with faith, then that's called nishtita bhajana kriya. As long as nishtita bhajana kriya has not arisen, anishtita bhajana kriya, the unsteady practice of bhajan, prevails. There are 6 stages evident in anishtita bhajana kriya. And we all know this from Madhurya Kadambini, right? 1. Utsāha, initial enthusiasm. And Śrīla Chakravarti Thakur gives great examples for each one of these. I'm not going to try to remember them though, because anyhow, maybe we could look at this if we have time at the end. Yeah, because we're almost finished with the article, so maybe we can go through Madhurya Kadambini. That would be nice. Okay, so Utsāha, initial enthusiasm. Then 2, Ghana Tarala, thick, thin. Ghana means thick, and Tarala means thin, or like wavy. A waving resolve to perform devotional practice. Then 3, Vyuda Vikalpa, oscillating between resolve and doubt. 4, Vishaya Sangara, battling sense pleasure. 5, Niyamakshama, the inability to uphold vows favorable for one's devotional practice. And 6, Taranga Rangini, sporting in the waves. Sporting in the waves of the conveniences afforded by the practice of bhakti. Okay, so now the offense. So yeah, afterwards, maybe we can look through Madhurya Kadambini. We'll go through these in more detail. Now, the offense of inattentiveness. Hari Bhakti Vilas considers pramad to be a type of nam aparad. In the same scripture, the word pramad is defined as inattentiveness. In Śrī Harinam Chintamani, this inattentiveness has been divided into three categories. There's one, indifference, udasinata. Two, there's inertness, jarata. And three, there's distraction, vikshepa. One cannot perform Hari Bhajan at all until one is free from these three types of inattentiveness. Udasinata, jarata, and vikshepa. That's indifference, inertness, and distraction. One cannot perform Hari Bhajan at all until one is free of these three types of inattentiveness. Although all other types of aparads may have been eliminated, a taste for Harinam will never arise as long as inattentiveness remains present. If from the very beginning of bhajan, one possesses an enthusiasm that never slackens, then indifference, laziness, and distraction will never arise in one's practice of nam bhajan. Utsāha, or enthusiasm, is therefore helpful in the performance of all types of bhajan. This is so important, huh? We always have to make sure that we are performing the practices of bhakti in a way that we're feeling enthusiasm. And so also I think that means, like, I don't know, this is just like my own speculation, but I think that means that if we're not feeling nourishment by a certain practice, then maybe we should do something else. I mean, of course, Harinam, and like there's certain things that are, whether we want to do it or not, we must do it. Like no matter, there's no alternatives. Like those are our main practices, and it's like, the example, like sugar candy. Sugar candy tastes bitter to someone who is afflicted with jaundice. Like that verse of, is that verse? What is that? Is that verse 6 of Upadeśāmṛta? I think so. Anyhow, but also we should make sure that we're getting enthusiasm some way or other. So, I mean, this could be misunderstood, or like this can be, people can just think those things that give me pleasure and like that. But anyhow, so I'm just thinking of a random example. If there's a book that I'm reading and it's really dense, it's like very technical, and it's, for me right now, I'm not able to get any like taste from it, and it's just, but then maybe we should read another book and like read Chaitanya Bhagavat, or read a book full of stories and things like that that give us some enthusiasm. And then later on we'll have enthusiasms for the more technical tattva filled books like that. But maybe at my stage right now, I'm not getting enthusiasm from reading this book, so I'll read this. And we just have to find out anything in the process of bhakti that gives me enthusiasm. If from the very beginning of bhajan one possesses an enthusiasm that never slackens, then indifference, laziness, and distraction will never arise in one's practice of nam bhajan. Okay, nishta gradually arises only through the enthusiastic performance of bhajan kriya. When one's performance of bhajan kriya is full of enthusiasm, then one's irresolute disposition, the anishtita, is removed, and the stage of nishta is quickly achieved. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has mentioned, Adau shraddha tata sadhu sangota bhajana kriya tato nartha nivritti syat tato nishtas ruchis tata. That's Eastern Division, chapter 4, verse 15 of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This means that the eligibility to perform bhajan arises upon the awakening of faith, of shraddha. Upon the arousal of this eligibility, one obtains the association of saintly persons, sadhu sangha, by which one begins to execute the activities of bhajan, bhajana kriya. In the beginning, bhajan is not performed with nishta, because various types of unwanted desires in the heart that impede one's progress in bhakti, anarthas, continuously crush the heart. but performing bhajan with enthusiasm vanquishes all anarthas. So yeah, it is going to be difficult. There's no way to avoid it. It's going to be difficult in the beginning because of all of our anarthas. But if we can just be enthusiastic, find what way will give me enthusiasm. And there's no better way than obtaining the association of saintly persons or following the instructions of saintly persons. Then that's the best way to generate enthusiasm. But yeah, then don't feel discouraged that I'm not feeling any taste, or it's really difficult, because very quickly we'll get enthusiasm. We just, yeah, and that will destroy all these anarthas. Enthusiasm, I like this. Enthusiasm is the very life of Shraddha. The word Shraddha certainly means faith, but Utsāha is the very life of Shraddha. Utsāha is the very life of Shraddha. Faith without enthusiasm is meaningless. Many people think they have faith in the Supreme Lord, but because they do not possess enthusiasm, their faith is impotent. For this reason, due to a lack of sadhu sangha, they are unable to perform bhajan. Wow, I really like this last paragraph here. Utsāha, enthusiasm is the very life of Shraddha. Faith without enthusiasm is meaningless. Many people think they have faith in the Supreme Lord, but because they do not possess enthusiasm, their faith is impotent. For this reason, due to a lack of sadhu sangha, they are unable to perform bhajan. That's how the article ends. Wow. Okay. So, Haribol, Haripriya Didi. And I already saw Chatamai Mataji, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's our program for today. What time is it? It is 7:38. We still have some more time. Yeah, this article is very relevant to me because today after Mangalarti, just a random thought came into my head. I read some comment on some, I forgot where, is a YouTube video or it was on Twitter, or I can't remember where, but it's just something about a famous actor. What is it? Alec Baldwin. He accidentally, like when they was doing the practice, he shot a gun and it hit the cinematographer. What do you call it? Anyways, whatever. That person hit the lady, and it went through the lady, and she died. And that was during the practice session. He didn't realize that the gun he was holding was loaded. And so then this morning, I saw like a comment like that he killed somebody, and then I didn't know anything more about it. And so then this morning after Mangalarti, I was like, I'm just curious to know a little bit more about this story, when I should have been doing my onik and like that. But I was like, I'll just take 1 minute and just to satisfy my curiosity. And then I looked on I typed it in Google search. Then I saw a Wikipedia article on this whole topic. Then I read the whole Wikipedia article, and then I went into a whole rabbit hole. And then like I in at the most important time of the day, like when our mind is in a special state at that time, even scientifically, it said like at that early morning stage, you're I think it's called the alpha stage or something. I don't know so much about this, but it's a scientific thing even. Like this is the most valuable time of the day, and we can do things with our mind. Our mind can do things that you can't do at any other time of the day. It's like a really powerful time of the day. But I use that most valuable time of the day for looking up some stupid news thing, which is completely temporary and which I'll forget about in a couple, just it's and I thought it was just going to take, oh, I'll just take 1 minute and then I won't be curious anymore. But it wasn't. It actually ended up, I went down a whole rabbit hole, and then I saw another thing, and it's like, oh, this video is only 1 minute. I went, and I lost control. I slipped fully. And I think maybe 35 minutes went by or something like that. And it's not just 35 minutes that went by, though. It is because then after that, I lost my chance to be able to use my mind, and then my mind was so distracted. I did the worst onik ever, and I didn't get time to go on my morning walk, and um, I like all these things. It was like it was so bad, and I know because I had such a bad start to my morning, then it's gonna affect me for the rest of the day, and so then that's just one day completely like and so then what I thought to do is I could um I've found that sometimes when you slip really bad, then you can actually use that to your advantage. It can actually it can actually be a positive thing. Of course, it's not positive to slip and do something bad, but it can also if you just don't do anything about it and you're like, damn it, I suck, and like, oh God, I have no control over myself, and like that, and you lose hope, like Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura was saying here. What did he say? Um, anyhow, that feeling of guilt is not how, like, if you just feel guilty and you don't do anything about it, then then you start to feel like, oh, I'm not qualified for this. I'm just hopeless, and you spiral down, and then you'll go even darker. You'll watch more YouTube videos. You'll waste more time, and you're not gonna get enthusiasm. That's not the way to get enthusiasm. It's just to feel guilty and, oh, I'm so horrible, and I have no control of my senses. No, you can actually use these bad times when you fall down and when you make big mistakes to actually shoot you up really high. You could use it to your advantage, um, by just like what I did this morning is I I opened up a new blank notebook, this little notebook here, and I didn't think about it. I just opened it up and started writing, and I divided it into four sections. And as I said, like this came naturally. So first I wrote about the slip. After Mangalarti, I was curious, and so I wrote what I did. Then I wrote the result. What happens when that um, and the results, like, and how did I feel? All the like and what was the result? How is it going to affect me throughout my day? How do I feel about it? And just, I can be as negative as I want and be real about it. Then I wrote the lesson. What lesson did I learn from that situation? And then at the end, I said, I wrote plan. Okay, now what am I going to do about it? And in that way, I didn't just, you know, like indulge in guilt and like indulge is not the right word, but you know what I mean. Um, but I actually thought, okay, I'm gonna use this. I see what my weakness, and now and there's something about just putting it out there, like rather than just having guilt sit inside you and destroy you, like eat you from the inside. Just put it out, get it out of your system, that negative thing, and and then when you have it externally out of you, then and you see it there, then you're like, okay, now I can work with this. I don't know. That's what I found with writing it down was really helpful, and but
No, but
then
I think everyone agrees over here that your enthusiasm is very contagious. That's why we are all here in this
well,
group.
I don't have so much enthusiasm, but but enthusiasm isn't something that you can just all of a sudden, it's something that you can make happen. Like you can be enthusiastic. No, anybody, any person, no matter how much they're struggling in bhakti, can be enthusiastic at any moment because our acharyas have given us so many ways to be enthusiastic. Like they've given us so many, it's like there's so many exciting things in bhakti and we just have to do it. And especially sadhu sangha. And so like that's why I'm not enthusiastic. And my natural, if I don't make any effort, if I just let myself do whatever I want, then I'm not going to be reading this with all of you right now. I'm not going to be reading Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura in the morning. I'm probably going to just be like on YouTube watching whatever stupid thing they throw at me, you know? And so but that's why I started doing these readings in the morning, is so that I can get enthusiasm. Um, yeah, there's never a time, this, this, this process of bhakti is so merciful. that we never have an excuse to be hopeless. And that's why my Gurudev would always emphasize, don't be hopeless. Don't be hopeless. We're so fortunate to be in such a merciful, where there's never any judgment. It's all just mercy. And so,
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, sorry to
yes.
interrupt.
No.
Are we reading from that book which you said?
Yeah,
Madhurya
these
Kadambini?
are articles, 12 articles by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. We finished
No, I mean,
the
you said in the class that you will read from Madhurya Kadambini.
yes, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Utsāha. Let's read about Utsāha, Ganatarala, Vyudavikalpa, Gana Sangara, what is it? And then Tarangarangini. I don't know if I got that order right. Yeah. Thank you, Krishna Mahiti. Yeah. And also just being able to talk about it is like, that's also something that we're supposed to do in bhakti, is like, we should talk about friends, about our struggles, and not just, I think it's really bad just to keep things inside, but we should talk about things that we're struggling with, and also things that we're enthusiastic about, and like we're meant to, it's yeah, and that's really helpful, writing and also discussing with Vaishnavas. That's Guyam Akyati Prichati, right? Guyam Akyati. We'll get there in Upadeśāmṛta eventually. Okay, so let's look at Madhurya Kadambini. What time is it? Okay, we have 10 minutes. Oops. Madhurya Kadambini. Just opening up the Word file for it. I'll just type in, what is it? Utsāha Mai. Utsāha Mai. I think that's. Okay, so this is very long. We don't have time to read it all, but let's just see if we can jump around. And sorry, the text is a little bit too small, and I can't make it big because it's a Word doc. It will take too long. But okay, so Utsāha Mai. So, okay. Now bhajana kriya. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, now bhajana kriya, devotional activities will be described. Bhajana kriya is also of two types, anishtita, or unsteady, and nishtita, or steady. First, anishtita bhajana kriya is being described. It is of 6 types in the following sequence. So 1 is Utsāha Mai, filled with an enthusiasm based on overconfidence, which is thus feeble and short-lived. And he'll give examples for each of these. Then Ghanatarala, which means thick and thin, are irresolute, sporadic endeavors in devotion. And then 3 is Vyuda Vikalpa. That's indecisiveness resulting from contemplating a diversity of alternatives, doubts constantly assailing one's resolve. And 4, Vishaya Sangara, battle with desire for worldly sense objects and temptations. And then 5 is Niyamakshama, the inability to uphold vows. And finally, 6 is Taranga Rangini, delighting in the mundane benefits afforded by bhakti. These unsteady devotional practices specifically indicate the spiritual stage of devotees by exhibiting their respective symptoms. Okay, so now Vishwanath, I'm not going to read any of the commentary. I'm just going to read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's direct words. So first, the stage within Anishtita Bhajana Kriya named Utsāha Mai is described. When a student begins his reading of the scriptures, within his mind he thinks, I have acquired such a level of scholarship that I deserve to be praised by everyone. With such pride, a profound enthusiasm and zeal temporarily rise within him. He becomes intensely absorbed in his studies, which he has only just begun. A similar kind of excessive enthusiasm is visible in the new sadhak upon his simply entering the path of devotion. Therefore, this stage is called Utsāha Mai. And think I remember my Gurudev giving an example of like a student, he goes to school and, like he's in first grade and or kindergarten or whatever, and then he learns A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. He learns the whole alphabet. Oh my God, I know so much. And he's like so proud of his learning and he's so enthusiastic. And then as the years go by, first it's really easy and then all of a sudden it becomes really difficult. And oh my God, division, multiplication, and then the enthusiasm wanes. But in the beginning, and we see that so many times, devotees who people who newly come to Krishna consciousness, they're very enthusiastic, but and very confident and all that. But then we see very quickly that disappears. Okay, so that's Utsāha. Then Ghana Tarala, thick and thin, or irresolute endeavor. The state called Ganatarala is now described. Sometimes a Brahman student's method of study is intensive, and sometimes, because he cannot grasp the subject matter or derive any taste from his study, his efforts slacken. In the same way, sometimes the new sadhak bhakta diligently performs the limbs of devotion and there is an intensity to his practice. And sometimes he is unable to do so successfully, which reveals a feebleness of practice. Therefore, in the performance of devotional activities, oscillating between intense or thick application, ganatva, and a feeble or thin application, taralatva, is called ganatarala. So yeah, sometimes it's very intensive efforts, and sometimes it's very lax, thick and thin. Okay, now 3. Vyura vikalpa, oscillation between resolve and doubt. So it seems like Ganatarala is about endeavors, right? It's like sometimes intensive endeavors and sometimes very lax endeavors. And now what's it? And then Vyura vikalpa seems kind of similar, but this seems resolve and doubt. This seems like more internal, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Thereafter, the unsteady bhakti of a sadhak gripped by Vyura vikalpa is being described. Such a sadhak ponders, should I stay with my family and make my son, wife, and other family members Vaishnavas by engaging them also in the service of Bhagavan? In that way, I will remain in my household, happily performing Bhagavad Bhajan. Or should I completely leave them all, my children, my wife, my family, and becoming free from all distractions, reside in my most cherished, worshipful place, Sri Vrindavan? There I will engage in the 9 aspects of devotion, like Shravan and Kirtan, and thereby make my life successful. He then wonders, well, is it appropriate for me to renounce worldly life in my later days when my understanding is mature? So maybe I should, do it later on when my understanding is mature and I've thoroughly experienced the terrible forest fire offered by the objects of sense enjoyment. But scripture states, Tam ikshed atmanom mritam trinai kupam ivavritam. It says, an intelligent person should know one's wife to be like a dry well covered by grass, and therefore death personified. It's in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. From this perspective, household life is not to be trusted. Besides, scripture states, Yo dustyajan dara sutan, jaho yuvaiva malavit. At a young age, Bharat Maharaj abandons the filth of worldly life, which cannot be renounced easily, just as one abandons stool after evacuating. It's from 5th canto Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Therefore, according to this scriptural evidence, it is not proper to delay any further in renouncing worldly life. Nevertheless, he ponders the state of mind of a person overly attached to household life, as described by the scriptural statement, Aho me pitaro vriddho. Alas, how will my aged parents and my wife and children survive without me in their distressed and helpless condition? That's 11th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. And then he recalls the words of Bhagavan, Atriptastan anudhyayan mrityondham vishate tamam. An unwise man who is dissatisfied abandons his family and worldly life prematurely and merely thinks about them till the day he dies. As a result, he makes a journey to extremely fearful planets that are full of darkness. That's also in the 11th canto. It's the next verse. So he shouldn't renounce too quickly. So confronted by such words, spoken by Bhagavan himself, He realizes that because he has not yet attained sufficient strength, his conviction to renounce family life is not yet unflinching. Due to these statements of Bhagavan, the practitioner's determination to renounce worldly life weakens. And again he thinks, for now, it's best that I remain in worldly life and sustain my present situation somehow or other. When the time is right, at a later stage, I will go to the forest of Sri Vrindavan and perform bhajan of Bhagavan throughout the 8 periods of the day and night. It's funny, all the descriptions of all the previous ones are very short, but this one is long because it's showing how mental the sadhak gets on the stage of Viravikalpa. Resolve and doubt. What do I do? La, la, la. So it had to be long. Okay, so now the next one. How are we doing on time? We still have 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. This one goes on a bit longer. I'm skipping there's more explanation on that one, but I'm skipping that. Now, Vishaya Sangara, battling attachment to the objects of the senses. Thereafter, Vishaya Sangara, or battling with attachment to the objects of the senses, is described. Scripture states that for a person whose heart is tainted with desire for sense enjoyment, to become absorbed in bhakti to Bhagavan. God, I'm going to close this. What's that? Sorry. Okay. So scripture states for a person whose heart is tainted with the desire for sense enjoyment, to become absorbed in bhakti to Bhagavan Shri Krishna is distant and seemingly impossible, just as an object placed in the west cannot be found by a seeker traveling east. How can he ever obtain it? Upon seeing such a statement from scripture, a devotee practicing bhakti determines, all these materialistic tendencies to enjoy the objects of the senses are forcibly dragging me toward them and diminishing my attachment to performing bhajan. Therefore, I will abandon all these materialistic tendencies and vow to take complete shelter of chanting the holy name. Yet, even after resolving to renounce enjoying sense objects, from time to time he is cheated by them and ends up enjoying them. As it is said, Parityage Pyanishvara Jushamanas Chatan Kaman. Being incapable of relinquishing material sense pleasure, my devotee enjoys sense objects, feeling resentment and guilt. That's from the 20th chapter of 11th canto. The sadhak at the stage of Vishaya Sangara fits this description from Shastra spoken by Bhagavan. This is what I was experiencing this morning. The sadhak battles with his material tendency to enjoy the sense objects he enjoyed previously. Sometimes he emerges victorious, and sometimes he meets with defeat at their hands. Because this stage of bhajan involves a battle with the sense objects, it is appropriately called Vishaya Sangara, war with sense pleasure. This is totally me this morning. I was battling, social media, and it got the best of me. I was defeated this morning. Okay, now Niyamakshama. Next, the stage of Niyamakshama is described. At this stage, the sadhak makes vows of this sort. Okay, this is what I did this morning as well. I wrote down, from this day onward, I will chant the holy name this number of times. Each day, I will offer this number of prostrated obeisances to Bhagavan, his associates, his pastime places, and the Vaishnavas. I will perform service to Bhagavan and the devotees in this specific manner. I will not speak even one word that is not related to Bhagavan, and I will completely relinquish the association of persons who indulge in mundane talk. I actually wrote a resolution, like what I'm going to do like this. So in this way, he makes these promises every day, again and again, but is unable to keep them for long. Therefore, this stage of the sadhak's development is called niyamakshama, or the inability to maintain one's vows. The difference between Vishaya Sangara and niyamakshama is that in Vishaya Sangara, the sadhak is unable to completely renounce material sense enjoyment. And in Niyamakshama, he is unable to excel in sadhan or improve his performance of the practices of bhakti. Okay. Now we come to the last one, Taranga Rangini, and we'll end our program after this. It's just one paragraph. Okay, so Taranga Rangini. delighting in the mundane benefits afforded by bhakti. Next, the stage of Taranga Rangini is described. Bhakti's nature is such that everyone becomes naturally attracted to that person in whom she appears. Yes, if anybody's starting to perform bhakti, they're engaged in the activities of bhakti, they'll become very attractive. Because, yeah, even the thoughtful and wise personalities of ancient times opined, Jananuraga Prabhava hi Sampad. The influence that comes from being the object of people's affection is certainly a wealth. Yet the wealth, worship, fame, and other such prosperity one attains upon the awakening of bhakti are in truth parasitic creepers. They are upashakas that cover the wish-fulfilling vine of pure devotion. These upashakas have been described as waves, taranga, in the great ocean of bhakti. At this stage in the practitioner's practice of devotion, he frolics. Ranga means frolics. He frolics in the waves, in the taranga, in the waves of worship, fame, and so on. For this reason, it has been called Taranga Rangini, or frolicking in the waves. So these are, was that 6? I think, yeah, 6 stages of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, of, what is it, like wavering or irresolute, unsteady devotional practice. And so that Taranga Rangini is, right, like once you start engaging in the process of bhakti, you'll start to feel all these qualities will start to come, and you'll feel enthusiastic. You'll start to feel some emotion. You know, maybe when you sing a kirtan, or when you're asked to speak Harikatha, maybe some emotion will come, and you'll start to tear up, and or you know, all these good qualities, all these amazing things will happen, and then people will become attracted to you, and people will think, wow, he's so sincere. Oh, wow, he's such a good devotee. Oh, like I'm feeling so, you know, and all these things will happen, and people will become attracted to you. And then you'll start to ride the waves of all these things that come to you once you engage in it. There's so many, you know, upashakas that come when you engage in the practice of bhakti. Upashakas, these creepers. And one thing about, like, this is a big topic in Mahaprabhu's instructions to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, these upashakas. Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he explains that these upashakas, these weeds, are these parasitic creepers. It's not even just a weed, because a weed is external from the plant, but they're actually like a parasitic creeper that grows along the vine of devotion, right? There's the vine of devotion, the Bhaktilata bead, the Bhaktilata, and then it sprouts and it starts to, you know, grow up, and then along that vine grows parasitic creepers. And Śrīla Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says that these creepers, these upashakas, exactly resemble the Bhaktilata beach. So you can't, it's really difficult sometimes to tell them apart. What is actually, what activities am I doing that's actually bhakti? And what activities am I doing which appears to be bhakti? It's shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, but it's just a parasitic creeper. The activities is exactly the same, but what it is 100% opposite. And so, yeah, just doing everything in bhakti is doesn't mean that you're making advancement. Even if you're waking up early and chanting all your Harinam, and you're distributing books, and you're doing everything right, but if it can still actually be, we're not, even though we're doing it's seemingly everything right, we're not actually watering the creeper of bhakti. We're watering some kind of parasitic creeper, and we're just making that parasitic creeper get bigger and bigger and bigger. For example, well, we gave 3 examples there, right? We get pratishta, people become attracted to us. We get kanak, kamani, and pratishta, right? So we'll get wealth also. People will want to start giving donations, and we'll start to get opulences. I have a nice place in the temple here. I have all the conveniences I need. I'm getting all this money from people, like, you get all these, wealth. You get women, ladies will start to be attracted to you, and or for the opposite, for a lady, a man will become men will start becoming attracted to you, and pratishtha, you'll start to become famous, and you're all that. So all that, and then I'm doing the activities of bhakti for these things, even though I don't realize it. I'm doing it for pratishtha. The reason why I'm going for Mangalarti is because people will see me at Mangalarti and I'll get all this pratishtha. They'll think I'm a good sadhak. Everything I'll do just be for, but and so yeah, we have to be so careful. Anyways, sorry, I talked way too much and it's 8:07. Oh my God, sorry. Thanks for sticking with me for so long. Dandavat pranams. I'll end here. I'll do quick Mahamantra, very quick Jaidvani, and we'll stop. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Okay, just one quick point. um, when there's no way to destroy this pratishtha by there's nothing that we can do just by our own efforts, but it can be destroyed by being in sadhu sangha, and when the Vaishnavas chastise us, and when but even being honest it's really easy to just try to be honest, and that there's no that's and then when you try to be honest, then people think, oh wow, he's so humble, and blah, blah, blah. Like there's no thing that we can do, even though we think that this would be good for destroying pratishtha or whatever. Really, we can only get help from above to destroy this desire for pratishtha. Nothing we can do on our own will have any effect. We have to pray for mercy from Srila Gurudev, and pray for the mercy of the Vaishnavas, and they will destroy all this. Yeah. Anything else that we do on our own to become humble, to destroy pratishtha, is all just fake. And well, it'll just be a useless endeavor, really. All right. Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai, Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Param Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Swapashad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radha Kund Shamakund ki jai, Jai Shri Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī's Shikshashtakam ki. Sorry, did I say Shikshashtakam? Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. My mind's. Yeah. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's 12 articles on verses 2 and 3 of Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsidevai, Priyai Keshavasacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavatai Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, Archana Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantarmurti Mataji, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Krishna Mai Didi, Chatamai Mataji, Deepika Gupta, and on YouTube and Facebook, Vidyalala Sadidi, Champak Mataji, Hari Priya Didi, Rupmanjari Didi. And who else? Vidyalala Sadidis. Oh, wait. And Kishore Prabhu. And a bunch of other devotees. Wait, let's see what Vidyalala Sadidi is saying. Reminds me of those quotes from Śrīla Bhakti Rakshakshira Goswami Maharaj about how all circumstances are actually favorable if viewed in the correct facet. Yes. It happened to me today, Vidyalala Sadidi is saying, it happens to me too today. I opened my mailbox to check for something in regard to my seva, but then ended up getting caught in other emails. It made me feel so bad and I spoiled my morning. Yes. Thank you. Kishore is saying, how do you differentiate between what is the Bhaktilata Beej creeper and the weeds? Well, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, that's why it's so important to be in association with devotees, like devotees who are more advanced than us, who can call us out on our bullshit. Sorry, I mean bull crap, whatever. you know, and who really care about our interests and they won't just tell us what we want to hear, but they really they'll tell us the difficult truth that we don't want to hear. They really care about our interests, and also um and sometimes we might not have that. We might just be in a country somewhere, but we have all these articles that our acharyas have written, especially our recent acharyas. Their articles are so powerful. All these raise the harmonious articles and these letters of Śrīla Gosvāmī, Śrīla Prabhupada's purports, they're constantly fine-tuning our understanding of what is bhakti and what is not bhakti. And when we absorb ourselves, we see their example, how they're practicing, especially Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Gosvāmī's book, My Beloved Masters, and we hear about the impeccable lives of all these associates of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. There's so many biographies about Śrīla Prabhupada. We start to become absorbed. Our focus is on these personalities and their life and their stories and their example and their instructions. Then we'll start to get a better sense of when I'm actually, we'll get a better sense of what is bhakti and what is not bhakti. We'll be able to detect that in ourselves better. But really, also it's when we rise to the level of madhyam, then at the madhyam stage is when you get really it's all about discernment, really, isn't it? You're able to discern who is at what stage, and you're able to discern in yourself also what anarthas do I have, what am I doing that's you just get a really high level of discernment. And so that's only possible by coming to that level, which happens by engaging in the process of bhakti and never making offenses and being in the association of devotees. Yeah, I don't know. That's my answer to that. Yeah. All right. Is there anything that anybody wants to mention before I end this stream? Just looking at the comments really quick.
Just want to say that everything resonates with me. Having all those 6. I feel
Yeah.
I'm doing all the 6. So thank you anyway for a reminder. Like,
It is so rare to find somebody. I mean, it's a pure devotee who's not struggling with those 6 things. And I really like that there's no real, this is natural. All these struggles that I have, all these anarthas there, it's natural. I don't need to feel guilty about it. Everybody's going through these struggles, and there's space. I don't need to feel ashamed. I just, our process is so merciful, so accepting, that, yeah.
thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Dandavat pranams, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. What's the topic for tomorrow? Tomorrow's Utsāha Nishchaya. Okay, so now we're going to hear about Nishchaya, having firm determination, fortitude, steadiness. That's going to be the topic for tomorrow. All right, so look forward to seeing you all for that. Jai Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki jai. All right,
Jai.
see you tomorrow. Haribol.